Welcome to the Brand Wise podcast, where we talk about the big branding moves that business owners are making and the why behind it. I'm your host, Jess Freeman, here to help you be wise and be bold. You know that feeling when you look at your website and you're like, this is not me anymore? Like, it's just not the best look. That's what we're talking about today. I've got a case study to share with you today about Georgette Cartagena. She went from calling her business Intern Gal to building Algamos HR, a consulting powerhouse. And while she's not in the health space, I have always believed that we can learn from other industries. And her story has a lot of parallels to what I see happening with personal trainers and dietitians every day. So I want to start with, I know you're probably just thinking, I just want to help people get rid of their symptoms and handle their chronic illness and, lift weights in the gym better and those kinds of things. Maybe you're like, I don't really care about my brand colors. I get it. But here's the thing. Your brand is a lot more than just colors and fonts. It's about how confident you feel going into those discovery calls. It's about whether potential clients are seeing you as the expert that you actually are, or just another coach on Instagram. Are you just another option out there? I want you to think about how often you have felt weird about your prices lately, how often you've attracted clients who just kind of want the cheapest rate, the smallest package. Maybe they're even price haggling or can I do part of this package so it costs less? If you've had people slide into your DMs asking for basic meal plans when you are a lot more than just, someone who can do meal plans, that's exactly why we need to talk about this, is thinking through those things, because sometimes the only thing standing between those dream clients and these other clients is how you are presenting yourself to the world. So going back to Georgette, she has, this killer HR expertise, lots of comprehensive knowledge, just like a lot of dietitians and personal trainers have. But hers is around, building great workplaces. But her brand was only saying I do internships. And part of that obviously was the name of the business, but also her messaging and her positioning. And I think of this as how dietitians are often seen as, oh, it's someone who posts meal plans or smoothie recipes or something like that. And it's not the full picture, and you're underselling your expertise. She was running into this problem that I see all the time with my health and fitness professionals. You know so much more, but your brand is kind of underselling and not showing that full picture. You've got certifications and years of experience and amazing client results, but your Instagram is just giving off recipe blogger vibes. Nothing wrong with being a recipe blogger, but I know that so many of my clients do so much more than that, but the content and the messaging that you're putting out is just kind of doing that recipe blogger situation. And for Georgette, after 4 years of building her business while becoming a mom, she finally was like, okay, I've had enough. This is not working. And she had actually kind of been sitting on the name Algamos HR, which means something more in Spanish. And instead of DIYing it, which, let's be honest, that's the route that a lot of people go in the beginning, she hired a brand strategist. She spent weeks diving into who her ideal clients are. She created messaging that really matched the value that she brings. And she built a website that wasn't going to undersell her business and her expertise. And the results were amazing. She started getting more workshop attendees, and her revenue tripled compared to her first year. And again, this was after having a baby and scaling back in the business. That went from just attracting, not so great fit clients to really good premium coaching clients. Now, obviously, I want to talk about how this can actually apply to you as a dietitian or personal trainer. And the first thing that we need to tackle is, do you need to rebrand? Do you need to reposition yourself? Maybe you need to work on your messaging. And listening to this episode may make you realize like that's your next step. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. So you might need a brand refresh if your DMs are full of people asking for really cheap meal plans, when really you offer, comprehensive nutrition programs, or if you cringe every time you send someone to your website, or feel like you have to give a disclaimer about your website, like, oh, it's a little outdated, but like the information there is accurate. We don't need to be giving disclaimers. If you've gotten amazing results for your clients, but you're still presenting this kind of newbie brand business, if you're attracting gym bros when you really want to work with, moms or any other niche, if you're attracting the wrong demographic, the wrong group of people, and you really want to work with a different group, like that is a huge sign that you need to rebrand, that you need to reposition yourself, change up your messaging. Because obviously that messaging is really resonating with the wrong people. And if your prices have outgrown your brand, that is a very, very big sign that you need to rebrand, because if you want to be charging more, you're going to have to look the part. Now, before you start diving into Canva or even hiring a logo designer, you need to get crystal clear on your ideal client. What stage of their fitness journey or health journey are they in? What are they willing to invest in? This is a huge piece. You have to look and figure out what they're willing to spend their money on, and honestly, kind of how much. What transformation are they really after? And then I want you to define your actual expertise. Like, what certifications and experience do you have? We want to make this clear on your website so that they know you are an expert and not just a wellness influencer who's pushing, some detox teas or something. We want to also look at what your unique approach is and how that sets you apart. We want to talk about what results you've gotten your clients. For Georgette, the rebrand wasn't just about new colors on a website. It was about giving herself permission to step into who she'd already become. And I want you to think about that specifically for a second, because I know you've put in the hours, you've gotten the certifications, you've changed people's lives and helped them with their chronic conditions and their symptoms and all those kinds of things, but something is holding you back from really owning it. And I want you to hear that your doubt isn't protecting you. I know it's scary to rebrand, to really put yourself out there, to state your opinions, to take a bold stance. I get that it is scary, but it's costing you income that matches your value. And it's costing you the impact that you could be making with your clients, with your community. So I want you to start small. Instead of listing out everything that you need to do for a visual overhaul, focus on one thing. Let's start with you just going to your Instagram bio and somehow tweaking it to really reflect your expertise and who you serve. No more generic, just certified personal trainer or helping people get fit or just IBS dietitian. We want to get specific about the transformation you provide and who for. Be really specific. So maybe it's helping busy executives build sustainable fitness habits into their schedule. Obviously, you might need to shorten that a little bit for Instagram, but we want to be specific. And this one change can start shifting how you show up on Instagram, how potential clients see you, and most importantly, how you see yourself. And once you've started owning your expertise, even if you're still doubting yourself a little bit, it's time to put yourself out there in a bigger way. Now, here's what worked for Georgette that you can totally steal or borrow for your own business. First, she hosted workshops. Now, I know that's not anything revolutionary. You've probably done that or have thought about it. But instead of another free challenge that, people may or may not show up, they don't put in a ton of effort, create a paid workshop that positions you as the expert. I really believe that getting people to pay gets them to really show up and to take action. I mean, think about if you're paying for something, you're going to use it. You don't want to just spend the money and let that thing go to waste. They're putting something on the line. There's more value, and they're kind of telling themselves I care enough about this that I'm going to pay. And if I'm going to pay, I'm going to do the work. So even if only 3 people show up, like Georgette's first workshops, that's 3 qualified leads that you have now. Then the next thing I want you to work on is building strategic partnerships. Georgette got a perfect fit client through a co-working space, in her area. Even if you are not working with local clients, maybe you train everybody online or you coach everybody virtually or whatever, think about where your ideal clients are hanging out. Maybe it's the women's health center or a gym or something. Maybe there's a prenatal studio or something, or that corporate wellness center for your executive nutrition coaching clients. Think about where they might be hanging out. And obviously, we also talk about usually where your clients hanging out online. Think about that as well. Maybe if they're not, on Threads, you don't need to be spending as much time on Threads. Maybe you need to hop over to LinkedIn and start posting there. So think about where they're actually showing up. And of course, I always want you to keep an eye on the metrics and the analytics before and after the rebrand. So look back at the last 6 months, even 12 months, how many discovery calls have actually converted? Not just how many you booked, but how many of them turned into clients? And then the quality, not just the quantity, of your DMs and what those have looked like. Now, that might be a little bit harder to track, because if you're like me, there's lots of DMs. Sometimes they're business related, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're friends or clients. But even just start tracking now, leading up to if you are thinking of rebranding, start tracking that now, and then you can compare it in the future. And then think about whether referrals are coming from the right places or not. Again, if you're not getting the right fit clients, and you notice all of these not right fit clients have come from Facebook or LinkedIn, Threads, whatever it is, okay, do I need to change the messaging on there? Do I just need to stop posting there? Maybe my people are not hanging out there. And then obviously, if you do start, hosting workshops, or if you have in the past, compare the numbers before and after the rebrand or the repositioning or whatever. Now, I want you to pull out your notes app as you're watching or listening to this, because this is your homework. I want you to ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? And fitness trainer is too broad, or women's dietitian is too broad. What do you want to be known for specifically? Who is my ideal, real client? Not just who you've been working with up until now. A lot of times I see my clients, well, this is who I've been working with. Okay, well, is that who you want to still work with, or do you want to change? And then what transformation am I qualified to deliver? And really get specific about that. Does my current brand reflect that? Does it reflect all of these questions about who you want to work with, what you want to be known for, who your ideal clients are? And I get it. Rebranding feels scary. It can be overwhelming. It feels like you're putting yourself out there in a whole new way. But here's what Georgette's story teaches us. Sometimes the only thing holding us back is our own hesitation to step into who we've already become. You're not just updating your logo, you're giving yourself permission to charge what you're worth, to work with clients who value your expertise, and make the impact you're capable of making. I just had a client I finished working with a few weeks ago, and in her testimonial form, she said, I think you can charge more. She literally said, I think you should charge more. And that was the same day that I had someone who was like, oh, like your prices have gone up since I last worked with you. Yeah, there's a difference between those two people. I want the people who say, you should charge more. This was definitely worth it. That is who I want you to be working with as well. Remember that your brand should reflect who you are now, not who you were when you started. And if you're sitting there thinking, but I'm not ready, that's probably exactly why you are ready. The last thing I want to leave you with is that Georgette told me something that really stuck with me. She wished she had owned her stuff sooner. Your dream clients are out there looking for exactly what you offer, but they first have to recognize you as the expert you already are. They want to see you as someone capable that can really solve their problems. Are you a squiggle or a square? Go to jesscreatives.com/quiz to find out where your brand ends up and find out what a square or squiggle even means. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to leave a review or share it on Instagram and tune in next week for another episode.